Good day everyone, especially to you sir. I am Alpha Mayan Bayawa. Today we are going to discuss about the global and local teacher professional. Is there a difference? Global education is a curriculum that is international in scope, which prepares today's youth around the world to function in one world environment under teachers who are intellectually, professionally, and humanistically prepared. So, global education means that learning is not only about our own country but also about the whole world. So, students can understand the different cultures, issues, and ideas to interact with people from other countries. Like for example, may isang student dito sa Pilipinas, natuto siya tungkol sa climate change at sa cultures na ibang bansa at kung paano makipag-communicate sa ibang tao. Sustainable Development Goal or SDG 4 for education is one of the 17 goals of the United Nations SDGs. The 7 of the 10 targets are expected outcomes while 3 are means of achieving the outcomes. These outcome targets bring together all member nations to expand beyond their geographical territories for global education. So means that SDG 4 is about giving everyone a chance to learn, grow, and have a better future. So by 2030, the 7 outcome targets of SDG 4 must have been achieved. These are the first is universal primary and secondary education. Ensure all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education leading to relevant and effective learning outcomes. So means that all girls and boys should finish elementary and high school. Education should be free, fair, and high quality. So, like for example, kahit mahirap ang bata, pwede siyang mag-aral sa public school ng libre at siya ay natuto magbasa at magsulat. So, the next is early childhood development and free primary education. Ensure that all boys and girls have access to quality early childhood development, care, and free primary education so that they are ready for primary education. So means that all children should attend kindergarten or daycare to learn basic skills and good behavior before grade 1. So, like for example, ang 4 years old na bata pumapasok sa daycare o kindergarten na kung saan siya ay natuto magsulat ng pangalan at ABC, numbers at pakikipag-socialize sa ibang bata. So, the next is equal access to technical, vocational, and higher education. Ensure equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education, including university. So, means that all women and men should have the chance to study the affordable and high quality technical, vocational, and college education. Like for example, ako bilang student, kahit hindi kami mayaman, may chance pa rin ako makapag-aral sa college o mag-TESDA para matuto ng skills. So, the next is relevant skills for decent work. Substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills including technical and vocational skills for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurs. So, that means that helping more young people and adults and learn technical and vocational skills that they can use to get good jobs or start their own business. Like for example, natuto ako ng tailoring sa technical school, kaya pwede na ako gumawa ng sariling clothing business or magtrabaho sa isang tailor shop. So, the next is gender equality and inclusion. Eliminate gender disparities in education and ensure equal access to all levels of education and vocational trainings for vulnerable, including persons with disabilities, the indigenous people, and children in vulnerable situations. So means that making sure boys and girls, including those with disabilities, indigenous people, and children in vulnerable situations, all have the same chance to go to school. Like for example, like for example, ako bilang student na gusto kong tulungan yung batang may kapansanan at nasa mahirap na sitwasyon para makapasok sa school at matuto tulad ng ibang bata. So, the next is universal youth literacy. Ensure that all youth and substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. So means that making sure all young people and many adults, both men and women, can read, write, and do basic math. Like for example, ako bilang estudyante ngayon, mas confident na ako sa school kasi hindi na ako nahihirapan. Kasi marunong na ako magsulat, magbasa at mag-calculate. So, the next is education for sustainable development and global citizenship. So, ensure all learners acquire knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development. Like for example, means that learning how to take care of the environment and be responsible in your community and the world. Like for example, ako sa klase, natuto ako kung paano mag-recycle at respetuhin yung iba at maging responsible citizen. 21st century learning goals have been established as basis of various curricula worldwide. These learning goals include 21st century content, emerging content areas such as global awareness, financial, economic, business, and entrepreneurial literacy, civic literacy, and health and environmental awareness. So means that students should learn new topics like global awareness, financial literacy, business skills, civic knowledge, and health and environment. Like for example, natuto ako kung paano mag-budget ng pera at paano mag-recycle para makatulong sa environment. So, the next is learning and thinking skills. Critical thinking and problem-solving skills, communication, creativity and innovation, collaboration, contextual learning, information and media literacy. So means that students learn how to think carefully, solve problems, communicate with others and be creative, work with others and use information and media properly. Like for example, ako bilang students, natuto akong gumawa ng group project at mag-brainstorm ng ideas at mag-research para ma-solve ang problema namin. So, the next is ICT literacy, using technology in the context of learning so students know how to learn. This means that using technology to help students learn and understand things better. Like for example, gumagamit ako ng computer at internet para mag-research tungkol sa climate change at gumawa ng presentation para sa class. So, the next is life skills. Life skills, leadership, ethics, accountability, personal responsibility. So these are skills that help students lead, act ethically, take responsibility, manage themselves, and work well with others. Like for example, ako ang leader sa group project at nag-organize ako ng task at tinutulungan ko ang mga classmate ko at sinisigurado ko na maayos ang lahat ng ginawa namin. So, the next is 21st century assessment. 21st century assessments, authentic assessments that measure the areas of learning. So means that students are tested or evaluated in ways that really show what they have learned, not just what they memorize. So, like for example, ako bilang students, gumagawa ako ng project tungkol sa climate change para ipakita ang natutunan ko sa klase. So, the next is Glocal education. Glocal education is about diversity, understanding the differences, and teaching the different cultural groups in their own context to achieve the goals of global education as presented by the United Nations. So means that learning to respect diversity and different cultures while gaining global knowledge. Like for example, may isang teacher na nagtuturo ng history at traditions ng ibang bansa para maintindihan ng students sa kanilang sariling context. And that's all. Thank you.